And we're live.
Good
Better late
morning.
than never. We're just a minute late. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a good Saturday. It is 11. Uncanny Omar talk pretty one day. I swear I don't do these things on purpose. They just come out like that. It is 11 o'clock in the morning here in the state of Kentucky. I am not late, just a little bit. But I got the Dan without fear with me, so that's
Hey,
cool.
folks.
Today is Saturday, 11 o'clock. Let me know where you are and what time it is. And also, today kicks off the DC fandom. DC fandom is kicking off today. So we'll talk a little bit about that, what we're excited to see, if anything. I don't know if, maybe some of you are like, forget it. And then and then I got Dan here with me, and I announced an Omnibus this week that I kind of have some questions, like to everybody in the chat that joins us, and then to Dan, like what his thoughts are on some things. But anyway, 6 p.m. from Romania.
Wow.
Western Australia. What's up? What's up? Serbia. Checking in from Brooklyn. I have a good friend of mine that lives up there now. Easton, Pennsylvania.
Belgium.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you can do that now. Dan, go ahead. Do your thing.
Haha. 5 p.m. in Sweden.
Super comic fanboy.
I remember my
8 a.m. That's early.
Yeah, it is.
Dazzler Dan. What's up, Phil? Boston.
Hey, folks. Yep. Got folks
Texas.
all around.
Well, there's
this
like
is so cool.
Brooklyn, Dublin. I've always wanted to go to Dublin. My brother's been there. Kisses from a French man in Cyprus. Well, that's awesome. 11:00. Oh, I like your name. A true graphic novel fan. Berlin.
It must be cold.
¿Qué tal estamos, muchachos? Muy bien. Muy bien. 9 p.m. in India and Greece. I love it. I love it. So while more people trickle in, we'll go ahead and start talking a little bit, and then we'll get to the Q&A. One of the things I got to announce this week was Marvel acquired the rights, and we knew this was going to happen when Disney and Fox and all that was going on. But we didn't know when it was going to happen. Just like we knew when Disney and Marvel happened, we knew the Disney comics were eventually going to go back to Marvel. So, hold on a second. Omar, I got that Wolverine Omnibus. Finally did my part. And I reminded David, I said, let's remember, look at those sales. We got to make sure we make Wolverine Volume 2 happen. So they're going to be looking at sales. So that's good. Everybody did their part. I thank you all. So I appreciate it. That was one of the biggest pushes for me, was to make that happen. And the other one was all new Wolverine to make that happen. So we got to make sure we get those. And Inferno, of course. So you all can finally get those. Where was I? Where the hell was I? Oh, yeah, Aliens. So I got to announce Aliens, the Omnibus, because back in July, the rights went over to Marvel, and now they're going to be printing their own material. I believe, is it Ben Piercy tweeted something about doing research, and he had his comics. He's the guy that's writing Wolverine right now. He wrote Green Arrow, which was actually really solid. And he took out his Aliens comic, and he was like doing some research or something like that. And yes, before we get started, thank you so much, Renaud. Please smash that like button.
Or just press it.
Or press it. Sure.
You don't want to press it. You don't want to smash it so hard that it unsets.
Hey, Omar, first time poster, found your page a few months ago. It really helped me get through this lockdown, so thank you. Quick question. Any word on Gotham Central Omnibus reprint? Thank you, Sam, and I'm glad you found us too. I'm going to be reaching out to DC. I have a new contact over there. We haven't talked or introduced, and I don't know if he'll even he'll even answer me.
May actually not be a new contact. It may just be.
Okay, how about this? I have a contact information over there from the previous guy, so now I can say it because he's made it public. But Hank has he is leaving DC. Hank is like David Gabriel at DC, and him and I, we talked. He's a really nice dude, and he was one of the people that lost his jobs. So he wished me luck and wish, whoever's there, his groups who remains there, luck. So hopefully we'll get something out of that. Namaste from India at 8:35 p.m. Thank you so much, Tushar. It's always good to see you, brother. Hello, Omar, plus Omar's friend. That's my buddy Dan. Dan Without Fear. Do you think that will come out with a Cap Omnibus Volume 3? I say if any year that's going to happen, Roger, that's definitely going to happen in 2021 because that is the 80th anniversary of Captain America. Isn't he? 80 years? Yeah, it's 80 years.
Really?
Yeah. Are you questioning my math or just
no?
It's been that long?
No, it's one of those things that, like, I can't. I have to, every time the concept hits me that, like, we are further away now. The Avengers is what gets me. 63, right? We are so much further away now.
Shut up!
From
don't
the founding of the Avengers when we were starting to read comics.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. Well, I think about that with X-Men, right? I remember celebrating 20 years, 30 years, 40. Oh God, I don't want to. I want to stop counting.
Yeah. I just every time I get reminded of that, it's like, wait. Okay, that's right. Yeah, I gotta. Okay.
Omar has teased us about this box set for a long time. I have, but not on purpose. I literally, David said it was going to be the first quarter, but then things got pushed back, so I can't announce it until he gives me his blessing. But I promise, as soon as I can, I'll be happy to mention it. I think a lot of you all will be happy. I can't even hint as to what it is. Omar should be the head of DC and Marvel Collected Editions. Oh, that's so sweet. I don't know if I. How about just one?
That would be an interesting job to hold for both.
Both of them.
Yeah, but you know what? You could at least make them, like, the formats fully compatible and, like, figure out the best way to do it. And you could have, like, people could just rebuy everything and it would all look coordinated on a shelf, and then you get fired on this first 6 months
because none of them sell. But the connecting spines will get people to buy it. We'll have a mural of all the Avengers. But anyway, first order of business.
a big spine mural that's Avengers versus New Teen Titans or something.
Well, I was gonna say first order of business, DC versus Marvel Omnis. All of them.
Yeah.
Everything will be released that way. Omar, when are you going to make the switch from marketing for DC or Marvel? I'm a phone call away, man. I'm a phone call away. Is Hank still working through the next 90 days or is he out already? I think some of them have to work 90 days. I think usually the people up at the very top don't have to finish out their days just because they're getting a severance package. He'd been there for a long time though. But I know some people are contracted to work 90 days to get their severance package, which always sucks because I've been there. I talked about it last week. Like, you have to work it or you don't get paid. You have to train your replacement or you don't get paid. What's up, DBC All-Star? I haven't seen you for a little bit. Omar be pimping, getting them digits. I'm back, peeps from outer space, Boston. I just walked into this chat to see them smiles upon your faces. I hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you're doing well. All right, Dan. How about a weekly video talking about Transformers comics and figures? Classic stuff. What about that, Dan?
That's a great idea.
I need more than that, Dan.
Crickets.
I need more than that.
That's a great idea, and I would love to do that. And I've talked about doing it a number of times, and for a number of reasons, most of which having to do with just the amount of work I have to do for my day-to-day lawyering job. That stuff just doesn't get done. But it's good to hear that people want it. If enough people let us know they want it, then that would be some more incentive to do it.
There you have it. So leave those comments down below when you're not here in the chat. Omar, you've done more marketing for both of them. Probably.
Yeah.
I certainly have a following of people that ask me when am I going to drop a video reviewing Preacher Omnibus and things like that. And I was like, I have the absolute Preachers. I really don't want to buy Preacher Omnibus, but if DC wants to send me a copy to compare it, I'd be happy to. These things aren't cheap, but I mean, you know, um, is there a Hellstrom Omnibus? I really need to find some Damien Hellstrom comics. Yes, the only collected omnibus for Hellstorm, which is what it was known at the time, is the Warren Ellis run. That's the only thing that was collected. And it was 2 years ago when that came out. Hopefully Kyle Rayner will be properly collected. I don't know why they stopped. It hurt. Hey, Omar just fell into Omnibus Byron Omnibus Prime. I love that name. Okay, just fell into the Omnibus collecting rabbit hole before the pandemic, thanks to the Near Me Condition channel. If you had to choose between Batman by Grant Morrison versus Snyder run Omnis, which would you go with? Wow, that's a hard question. How about this? If you're newer to comics, I think you will have an easier time with Snyder's Batman. Because while Morrison's Batman is phenomenal, and it kicks off so easy to understand, about 2/3 of the way through the first omnibus, something happens, and you're like, wait, what's going on? And then by the time you get done with the omnibus, you almost have to read Final Crisis. And if you have to read Final Crisis for the first time and being new to comics, that's not going to go really well. I'm just doing you a favor. Don't get me wrong. I love Batman by Morrison. Probably more than I do Snyder's Batman. But Snyder's is just easier to get into. So for me, I just get Snyder's Omnibus. Yes, that would be day 2. Man of Steel Omnibus. Day 2. With future content later. Omar, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué pasó con Absolute Carnage Omnibus? It was delayed. So Absolute Carnage and Conan Volume 4. This is so funny. David texted me going, Absolute Carnage and Conan Volume 4 are stuck in customs. And I was like, really? We're talking crates, right? I didn't think those things got stuck in customs. He's like, yeah, they're going to be a little late. So I don't know if that's a couple of weeks or not. I hope they don't come out on September 2nd because I'm not kidding. That is freaking, that's Omnibus D-Day. There are like 5 Omnis released that day. So hopefully they will come out like September, I want to say maybe like September 15th. Give people a little breathing room. It's the return of the suit for the box set announcements. You got it, man. You got it. Whenever they say I can. Thoughts on Captain Britain by Alan Moore? I love that run. It's a run that doesn't get talked a lot about because, first of all, it had a small print run and then it went out of print and the omnibus is out of print. But it's freaking awesome. Like it.
Is that pre or post date Excalibur?
It's pre-Excalibur, and it sets up a lot of the things like when Betsy. I don't want to ruin. Something happens to Betsy through that run, and so by the time she shows up in New Mutants, she's a certain way, and then eventually joins the X-Men. See, Morrison is better. Morrison has more weight. Not himself has more meat, but the book has more meat.
And Morrison's is good eating.
Any idea about Tomb of Dracula Volume 2? Am I the only one who wants it? No, that's one of my most wanted omnibus reprints. But I think there were a total of like 25 people that wanted it reprinted. So maybe one day. Those Silver Age books, man, they don't. For some reason, Marvel had a hard time selling those. I don't know why. Compared to modern age comics, with the exception of like Spider-Man and X-Men. They always have a hard time with those.
Have you ever had a conversation with your contacts at Marvel or DC or anywhere in the industry about like print on demand for that sort of thing?
Yeah, that was one of my earlier questions I had for David was, why don't you guys do a print on demand? Like, because we've seen that happen with DVD companies, you know, if for physical media, and we've seen comic books actually do that. And he said the book market would destroy them. Like they would hate that because they still have to cater to the book market, right? And the book market doesn't work like that. The book market works on catalogs that are months ahead of time, which is weird.
Yeah, but gosh, if only there was some huge disruptive event that could give the publishers an excuse to re-examine the way they do things. Anyway, go ahead.
I think that's already happening with DC, Dan. Don't be shit stirring if shit don't need to be stirred. I need an emotional support for having to move my $2,000 Omni collection this fall to a new apartment. God bless you. I would say, even if you're hiring a moving company, move that yourself. It's going to kick your butt, but
or at least pack that yourself.
Or pack it yourself. But at least you'll know they're safe. Your babies are safe in your hands, and you're not entrusting it to anybody else. That's the way I think I see it. And my wife was like, "You're seriously going to move all these books when we leave?" And I'm like, "Yes, and you're going to help me." The Batman reading order has strained you, hasn't it? It really appreciate you doing that. Yes, it has. It really kicked my ass. Like Batman literally kicked my ass. But Wesley Willis kicked Batman's ass. So
there you go.
The episode 2 is already live for our Patreon subscribers. I put that out, I think, yesterday, and it'll go live probably tomorrow or Monday for everyone else. And I'm working currently through part 3. I thought I was gonna have to make it 5 parts, and I'm like, I can't squeeze out another one because I have to I have to combine these 2 and make one. So I'm keeping it to 4 parts. That's why I couldn't add Legends of the Dark Knight and Shadow of the Bat, and what was the other one I almost added was like Batman Confidential, because it has a really cool Wrath story in there. Thank you for the super chat, Tushar. Have you read Fantastic Four Antitheses? What are your future hopes about it? Will Cantwell Doom will get extended further? Are we going to get the OHC? I'm a big fan of that Doom series. I've been reading it digitally, and I hope we get some kind of collection later on. I don't know if it'll be an OHC, perhaps like a complete collection, but more people need to check it out. That's the new Doom series that's ongoing right now. We have another super chat from DBC All-Star. I picked up that Golden Age Submariner Omnibus at Books A Million for $54. A bargain, but it's sad to see any omnibus discounted. I want more Silver Age.
I went to Books A Million yesterday while I was running some other errands, and it was the first time I'd been in one in forever. Mm-hmm. There's one in Louisville, and like I could not figure out any organizational structure.
You haven't been to.
It was just like here's a vague area where there are a lot of different things related to comic books.
Have you not been to an Ollie's before? I feel like Books A Million is like a snootier Ollie's.
Yeah, a little bit, except things are mostly full price, right?
Sometimes you get that discount code, and you can be a member. And we have Rick Gear has super chat. Thank you so much, Rick. Aliens Omnibus mapping shows Marvel did their homework. So many things in the Omnibus were out of print for years. Dark Horse did a bad job with the Aliens hardcovers. So I missed out on the 30th anniversary of the Aliens hardcover. So I'm really excited for this Omnibus for that reason, because and we're getting like the Ultramarine, the Marines comics that were only collected in the toys. So that's pretty cool. And they seem to be wanting to do. By the way, this is volume 1, and I flat out asked, are you all gonna do more like Conan? And he said that's the plan, as long as these sell. So there you have it. We're gonna get more of that Aliens Omnibus, and hopefully that will lead to Predator, and hopefully that will lead it to Aliens versus Predator. And wishful thinking on my part, hopefully that will lead to Predator versus Batman, but whatever. That's wishful thinking on my part for sure. We've got some super chats. Thank you all so much from Luis Reynaldo. If you have a question, you can type it in and we'll find your question, man. I'm sorry. I don't know. Sometimes super chats don't let you do that. From Carlos Eduardo Bandeira. Hey, Omar, Gillen's Uncanny X-Men Volume 2, please give me your words about his run. Gillen, to me, we just did a Journey into Mystery, Old Reader, New Reader, and Gillen, to me, is one of those underrated writers that never really blew up, never reached that certain level of popularity that he should have. Like, I thought the book that would put him on the map would be his new Die book, but I haven't heard a lot of hype about it.
Which one is that?
Die. He's a huge
love
role
that.
player. He's a huge role player.
I will say, and I've gotten into Gillen's work through his Image stuff, and gone back and started reading his X-Men stuff. I haven't made it very far through it, but I really, really enjoy it.
It's awesome, and the changes that he makes in X-Men are so. It makes sense, right? Like, I know I mentioned this in our Old Reader, New Reader, but I know some people were upset with the changes he made to Mr. Sinister, but it actually makes sense. I like a sassier Sinister in the X-Men universe, like, for his kind of character and that big Sinister club that he has with all the clones and stuff. Why not? He's a dude that's about clones. Tushar, thank you for the super chat. I pre-ordered Absolute Carnage Omnibus. Is there a DM variant? No. There's no direct market variant for that or for War of the Realms, which I'll be doing an overview of that, I think, next week. What, Sean Desuk, what's up, my dude? Saturday morning, Omar and friends have replaced cartoons for me.
Does that make me Iceman or does that make me Firestar?
No, you're so Firestar.
or am I the dog?
You are Firestar.
Speaking of cartoons, though, I mean, all of Thundercats is now on Hulu. I
saw that. I saw Thundercats, not only just Thundercats, the stuff we grew up with, but Thundercats
2011, or was it 2001 or 2011?
No, 2011. 2001 was He-Man.
That's right. Man, I watched the first episode of that, of the original one, and it's just like, can you imagine if like Transformers or G.I. Joe had been this well animated and scripted and planned out? It's just it makes you cry a little bit.
Yeah, it makes me cry that we don't have, cartoons these days. Kids are very blessed these days. They don't know the struggle, right? Like, think about like Avatar, right? Avatar, Legend of Korra. They actually have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whereas we grew up with cartoons like, oh God, please let there be another season. We didn't even know what seasons were as kids.
Right.
Please let the show come back. What do you mean Transformers isn't coming back?
And it was just like, wait. Are there? I guess they're not. They're done selling toys now. All right. Here's Lewis's question.
Okay, from Luis. Hi, Omar. Just a little statement. Is that a statement? Is that what that is? Dan, help me reading that.
I think it's smut.
A little smut. I don't think that's the word you're looking for. After what you said about your job last week, started Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, can we get a reading order of X-Men Cosmic Saga that combines existing omnis and milestones and trades? Yes. Yes, you can.
Put it on the list.
Actually, X-Men is on the list. Like, even so, every month our patrons get to vote for a reading order, and even though I know X-Men is probably going to win versus, I don't know, whatever I put on there, Supreme or Wildcats or something, it's going to take, I want to do a thorough reading order. Like, I want to include all the trade paperbacks and where I would choose to read or where I would suggest reading a certain series. Because doing the Batman reading order. See, I think I would love, but this is never going to happen. Because it would cost everybody money. But I would love for Marvel and DC to just kind of go the route of IDW's Transformers and do things not in release order, but in chronological order. That would be so amazing. Because even doing Batman, the reading order, there are times that I'm like, okay, stop reading this omnibus now because I think you'll get more out of it if you go and read this. Then come back to this omnibus and read the rest of it. I mean, there's a couple times I've done that already.
But the obvious objection to that, though, is where they are in a shared universe with everything. What how do you define your fence for what you include in that? If the idea is you want the comprehensive Batman story, well, okay. I mean, does Crisis on Infinite Earths go in there? does
It would almost, well, that's why I always kick off my DC with Crisis, right? Because Crisis is the event that did the hard reboot of the universe, with the exception of a couple of characters. But then it gets difficult when we get into the. I'll just, when I'm going to get to part 4 with New 52, I have to mention. Okay, well, this is where Barbara Gordon comes back as Batgirl, right?
yeah.
But then how did that affect storylines like No Man's Land or The Hunt for Oracle? Because she was Oracle. So they retconned the fact that she wasn't paralyzed the whole time. She was paralyzed for a while. It's so weird, man. But thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, that reading order will come out later this year.
Here's a question. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for the super chat, Tushard. War of the Realms does have a variant. I'll opt out for it. That's right. There's a Russell Dodderman variant, and then the other. I'll tell you what, though. Inside of that dust jacket is really pretty because it's a map of all the realms and stuff.
Here's a question that I'm curious for your info on. And I think Something is Killing the Children is Boom Studios, right?
Yes,
if I'm remembering right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's James Tynion.
In general, I mean, how are studios like that doing oversized collected editions? Are they, or is it just kind of like you see it one day, or what?
So I asked this question to Carl Kessel and Eric Larson, like, who gets to decide how this book gets published? And one of the and just putting it all together, it's really up to the creator. Like, if you want your book published, and of course Image has the final say, like, we really don't want to do a hardcover of the series because your trade paperbacks just didn't sell enough. So hopefully we'll get something like that. And it's James Tynion, and I think he's starting to get a lot of notice, mainly because of his detective run. But he was a big part of Batman Eternal, and now he's writing Batman. He took over Tom King. Hey guys, do you think we'll see a complete collection of Wade's and Soul's runs in Daredevil anytime soon? I say we see Soul's run in complete collections before we do Wade's.
Why do you say that?
Because Soul's run, at least Wade's has had oversized hardcovers and an omnibus, and of course slim trade paperback. Soul's run is only available in those slim trades. That's it. There's no complete collection. There's no oversized hardcover. And I'm hoping that we get at least an oversized, because Daredevil consistently has had oversized hardcover collections, whether it's an omnibus or an oversized hardcover.
I have a question for you.
You got to super chat that, dude. Just kidding.
My presence is a super chat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's the new Sandman oversized hardcovers coming out that collect different run, or the spacing is different than any other thing that's out. What do you think in terms of, if you were going to get all of the Sandman now, do you get those new ones, or do you get Absolute, or what? And just because I was, I listened to the Audible Sandman thing, and it got me going back and reading my old trade paperbacks. So I was contemplating the idea of picking those up.
So the way that I justify double, triple, quadruple dipping is it depends on the story and what's available, right? To me, as a fan of these things, and it depends on how much the story impacted me, my life, or whatever. If it's one of my favorite stories or one of my favorite characters, I'm at a point in my life that I want the best of collection, right? For the same reason that people like you and I that grew up with Transformers had these, cheap toys growing up. They weren't cheap for us, and not for our parents either. But now they have masterpieces, right? Masterpieces are $200, $300, $400, $500 versions of these toys we grew up with. But that feeling of nostalgia of opening it up, and what Optimus Prime means to you, is why you get a $400, $500 toy, right? So that's the way that I do it. Like, what did Sandman mean to me? And even though I don't think the art was the best in Sandman, I think it deserves the best format. And that, to me, is the Absolute format. There's only 3 Omnis, and that'd be cheaper. But the Absolutes, there's 6 Absolutes plus death. So those are like 7 absolutes.
Yeah.
And those aren't cheap, but they're beautiful presentations of the story. Bloody hell, War of the Realms is a 1,500-page omnibus. Why don't they give it infinity treatment? Main book plus companion. I think they just wanted to put everything in it. To this day, it is the biggest Marvel omnibus, though. This is Lydia with her cat, Frosty Leaf, and the cat's about to scratch you. So, anyway, she just wanted to come down and say hello. Love you, baby.
When'd you guys get a new cat?
For her birthday.
Oh.
Omar, how would you map Superior Spider-Man into an omnibus? I would add the final issues of Amazing Spider-Man that lead into Superior when Dr. Octavius does his thing, for people that haven't read it. Put in the entire Superior Spider-Man in there, and then the .1 issues, and then the Spider. You know what? I'm a completist, so I would include the Spider-Verse issues in there as well. I don't think I would include the new series because it wasn't Dan Slott, but I would include the Spider-Verse issues in there. I think it's a hell of a crossover, or a hell of a series, so it deserves an omnibus. I'm honestly surprised we never got a freaking omnibus out of it. Thank you so much, Martian Pilgrim, for the super chat. Omar, how can you forget War of the Realms DM variant is by Arthur Adams? Fake fan. Thanks for calling me out. I love that you super chatted and called me out. Recently got the Marvel monograph art of Arthur Adams X-Men. Too bad they did not make a huge hardcover. I agree. I wish that one. There's a lot of them, the monograph books. Like the Conan books are hardcovers, right? And then there's is it John Buscema? That one that's coming out later early next year. That one's a hardcover. So I don't know why they didn't make it a hardcover. Jose Arrocha, 499. I am a fake fan. I forgot about that Arthur Adams book. Thank you for the super chat, Jose. If you can't type your question, we'll look for it. Sometimes the super chats are weird about typing questions. Leo, where's your question? Okay. I find a bad movie and it's Sinbad, the Battle of the Dark Knight. I've not seen it, but I believe you. Are we talking about the comedian Sinbad? Like, if you're talking about the comedian Sinbad. Of course that's a bad movie. Super chats are not available in my region. That's okay, man. I'll still read your Q&A. Grayson Volts, love it. Calling people out. 318 watching, 101 likes, not acceptable. Thank you so much. So yes, please don't forget to hit that like button. And by the way, for all of those that have been asking, we do have a P.O. box now. It's in the description of this video. Maybe I'll find some way to put it in a banner. Nope, not that.
Yeah, send things to that P.O. box.
There's our P.O. box for those that have been asking us. We finally got one this week. I don't know why we didn't before, but there is our mailing address. And we're going to have a contest. Like Dan was suggesting a contest about postcards, right? We'll announce that.
Yeah, just a postcard contest. And then, I mean, that's quality content going through people's postcards on air.
Yes.
It actually is, but
I like getting mail. I haven't gotten mail in forever. But anyway, that is our P.O. box for those that have been asking. And by the way, I got this Bear Serum shirt from the creator who sent me the book, and my wife and I are going to review it this week. It should have been done a couple weeks ago, but a lot of things happened. So I'm sorry. I didn't have a question, Omar. I just wanted to support the channel. I know I'm speaking for many others when I say I appreciate what you do. Oh, man. Much love to you, Jose. Muchas gracias, hermano. Morning, Swallow. Is Swallow in here now? Now we can get this started. And where's my boy, Michael? Michael sent me a really sweet email yesterday, and he's not even in here. So disappointing. But my boy, Shonda Stokes here, so... Hey, Omar, when is the Sandman box set coming out? The trade paperback box set, right? Was that delayed? I'm still wondering when the Blackest Night, Brightest Day, I almost called it Whitest Day. The Blackest Night, Brightest Day
That's a different story.
is coming out. I don't know. That one was postponed. Oh, what an awesome question! I'll do this right now. Hi, Omar. Can you rank your top 5 Wonder Woman runs? Yes, Greg Rucka, pre-Crisis on Infinite or pre-Infinite Crisis. Greg Rucka. I love his.
I was gonna
Uh,
say,
well,
Greg
I like his.
Rucka's childhood Wonder
Well,
Woman
I
run.
like his rebirth, right? I like his rebirth, but I think his pre-Infinite Crisis is so damn good. Number 2, William Messner Loeb's. Nobody talks about that guy's run. It is freaking phenomenal. It is amazing, like one of the best runs, and nobody talks about it because I think it gets a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just '90s garbage," but it wasn't. It was so good. Number 3, Gail Simone's run is solid with wonderful artwork. She took a mess of a book that had just delays and then writers and editors arguing about what to do with the character, and she made it fun again. Number 4, of course, George Perez. His artwork alone is freaking amazing. And then the 5th one, probably, honestly, I would probably go with Brian Azzarello's run. Brian Azzarello's run is solid, and it's a different take on Wonder Woman because that's the New 52 run. This is an excellent question. Why is the Crisis on Infinite Earths box set not in chronological reading order? Because I'll be honest with you, that whole thing was just it was a marketing ploy, and I realized every crossover was. But it was a marketing ploy in the sense of like, hey, the Earth is ending. The Earth has red skies.
Tell your stories now.
The world is ending. The world is ending with red skies. So that's where the term red skies comes in, where just because like they would consider a crossover issue important if it had red skies in the background, like Infinity Inc. or New Teen Titans. Really, what you need to read is just Crisis on Infinite Earths. Maybe some issues of Teen Titans that introduce the Monitor, but I don't think anything can really prepare you. Like, really, what you need to read is just those 12 issues. Everything else is just, I don't even consider it icing on the cake. It's maybe those bootleg
and
candles
go
that you put on top
like,
of your cake.
Like, okay, I'm not going to get 30% of what's going on here because I haven't been reading DC Comics since the 1930s. But if you go into it with that,
since the 1930s, you're an old dude. I have stopped reading DC Comics in 1930. What brought me back was Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, right.
Don Ken. Omar, are you going to include New Mutants and Excalibur in your X-Men reading order? What I may do is make a separate video as to when to start reading those books. Because now we have a bunch of class Epic collections and Omnis coming out. So I may just make a separate video of like where is the best place to start reading those. Yeah, I think Azzarello's run is solid. It's a horror take on Wonder Woman, but even though a lot of that has been already retcon. Who needs to get bribed to get an X-Men Omnibus back in the print? You're talking about the classic Silver Age, huh? Even those didn't sell that well, right? So I'll ask those questions when they're. Right now, I know of another reprint and another omnibus that's coming out in 2021, later 2021, and I'll ask. I'll do another poll too as to what you all want reprinted the most. That was really fun, and it's really cool to see David in the chat, like talking about that wasn't on Omar's list, and then everybody started yelling at me, and I'm like, wait, it's because you all made the list. It's not like my list. Believe me, I'd have Tomb of Dracula Volume 2 up there. Marvel better reprint Wolverine. That was on the top 10 list, but at the end of the day, it's still their business and what they decide to reprint.
There's one more super chat. I'm
Oh, thank
curious.
you so
Have
much.
you read any?
I really like Al Ewing, and this event, Empire, has been okay at best. It started off pretty fun. It took a dip in the middle. I haven't finished it yet. I tell you what, though, the X-Men parts are awesome. Like, there's a lot of things happening in Empire X-Men that I'm like, huh, that probably should have been in the main X-Men book.
Yeah, there's that.
Omar, do you think any post Age of Apocalypse X-Men line omnibus are in the horizon? I don't really know. I know X-Men got a lot of love this year in 2019 and 2020. Because we've had X-Men versus Apocalypse at 12. What we really need is we need a pre. So I'll get it. I guess a Road to Onslaught omnibus, and then we need the Magneto War, the Hunt for Xavier, Trial of Gambit. I think all that would fit into one or two omnis. Two, it's X-Men. They'll milk that cash cow. They know we buy it. So, man, can you imagine if we get those, and then on top of that, we get Uncanny Volume 4, and then the prequel or the prologue to Mutant Massacre? You'll have every X-Men from like giant size all the way up until like there's new X-Men, all the way up until new X-Men, an astonishing X-Men. That's insane. And I'm so gonna push for Extreme X-Men. That needs to be made. Oh, you're nerdy. We had a Smurf conversation last week when my wife was here, talking about the different terms, or I'm sorry, the different names that people use for Smurf, since we had so many people from different countries in the chat. Lots of love from Poland. Omar, do you know whether we're going to see Dark Knight Brayfogle Volume 3? I've not seen that solicited at all. I hope so, because Alan Grant and Norman Brayfogle, those are two of my favorite Batman creators. Long time no see, Hub with Mobile. What's up? You and your pilots, your Ava pilots. I can't wait for that fourth movie that may or may not come out, like, ever. One can only hope. Rick Gear, thank you for the super chat. Will Aliens Omnibus have the earlier issues in color? They should. They should have them in color. I think I don't think they're going to do the black and white. Ooh. Any information on a Maximum Carnage Omnibus? And what is collected in Ven Omnibus Volume 3? Okay, two-part question. Number one, Maximum Carnage Omnibus, I don't think that's ever going to happen, because that stuff is in the Spider-Man versus Venom Omnibus. So that's already a Maximum Carnage Omnibus. And that book is out of print right now. Now, what I'm pushing for, that I hope they do, is a David Michelinie and Mark Bagley Omnibus. That takes us from the moment that Eric Larson left the book and Mark Bagley joined. So you'll have the Round Robin saga, the first appearance of Carnage, the Spider-Man's mom and dad coming back, taking us. I don't think it's too many issues to take us all the way, especially if you include Maximum Carnage. It won't take us all the way to the Clone Saga, but it'll fill in those gaps. I'm sorry, there was a second part to that question. What was it? Ven Omnibus will be like the Daniel Way stuff, the mini series that was like the movie The Thing. Do you think we'll get an Alien trade paperback if the Omni does well? I think it's much like Conan. They'll probably come up with an epic or complete collections of aliens. I don't know when the Spider-Man Epic Collection Volume 6 will be released, Mark. I know that I've got the titles for the first part, and usually they do 2 Spider-Man titles a year. And I don't think in 2021 we got a Spider-Man title yet. So that's probably a likable candidate. We are getting a bunch of reprints, though. If you go back and watch that episode that I did with Curtis. Salvador La Roca Extreme X-Men FF era or Invincible Iron Man Star Wars era. Cartoony versus hyper-realistic eras. Yeah. I liked Salvador La Roca's Extreme X-Men, especially when it wasn't inked. Thought that was cool. Now his stuff is very light boxy. We need a Captain Britain Omnibus reprint. That made it on the top 10 list, surprisingly. So I guess we'll see. we will see what Marvel decides to do. Thank you for the super chat, Martian. Thank you for pushing the Extreme X-Men Omnibus. It has to be done, right? Hope they make it one big thick Omni with all 46 issues, 4 Savage Land issues, the expose, and the annual. And honestly, I would throw in what is that? 109? Oh dear, 110. The issue where they're all talking about the Destiny Diaries, and Storm's like, okay, we're leaving the X-Men. We're gonna form our own team with sunglasses and cooler costumes. I'd throw that in there too, man. I love that. I love that series. I know, it's one of those series that people either love or hate, but I love it. Blade of the Immortal, manga any good? Top 20 favorite manga of all time. I love it. Love that movie. Love that series. Not so much the movie. The movie was a little disappointing. Who was it? Takashi Mike, was he the one that did it? But the series was really good, and surprisingly, it never got an anime. I think we only got one season out of the anime, but it's so good. Oh, Emmett, I have not read the Tea Dragon Society yet. Society, is that what it is? Tea Dragon Society. I will. I promise. You know what? I'll mention it to Maddie, and she'll make me read it for old reader, new reader, because I know she really likes it. Hi from the UK, guys. Do you think we're getting reprints of Marvel Annihilation? And do you think we could get reprints of the follow-up Conquest? Those things are hard to find. Annihilation comes back. Hold on one second. Let me pull this up again. I just had to look this up for somebody the other day. The last, keep this in mind, this is the last batch of Annihilation. So hopefully you're able to get it, because these things get ridiculous and expensive. And then I'm going to answer something that a lot of people have asked me, why Marvel doesn't keep these things in print. Dan, why do you think people like Marvel and DC don't keep these big books in print?
Why?
Yeah.
To drive up demand a little bit. Also, I mean, I don't know. That would be my inclination. If it's a case of we are letting a book that we know is popular and is selling well go out of print, that's the only reason I can think of, is that they just want to try to do it as another push. Or it's just a case of they only have so much budget in a given month, and they just fall off the bottom.
It has something to do with that, and also space. These books are huge. And if you're filling up your entire warehouse with every single omnibus that's always constantly in print, you're going to eventually run out of space, right? So that's another reason. So Annihilation comes back on September 29th. And then the Silver Surfer with the corrected pages comes back on October 7th. That's the dates that I was given. So hopefully you're able to get it. I hope everybody that wants it is able to get it. Super Comic Fanboy 616, thank you for the super chat. Yo, thanks for the weekend pick me up ahead of the DC fandom. I hope you dug my DC Marvel collect mapping. I did. Omar, have a great day. You as well. Yeah, what's everybody excited for? Dan, DC fandom, you excited for the Snyder Cut tease that we're probably going to get?
Well, I mean, I haven't watched the theater cut of the movie, so
What?
I mean, man,
forget it.
There was a time in my life when I really loved DC, and that time is not now.
Omar, when can you announce? Look at you with your brand of the sacrifice, Rob Swallow. When can you announce the new Marvel box set? As soon as they tell me I can. It's probably going to be for the second quarter of 2021, so it might be a month or two before I can even say anything. But as soon as they let me, I promise you I will. There you go, Dan.
Should you buy the $400 HasLab Sentinel? Neither Omar nor myself bought the $800 Unicron.
I wanted to so bad.
And I will say I'm feeling a little bit of regret on that. But
same.
But you know what? I mean, shoot, man, if you've got $400 and nothing better to do with it,
treat yourself is what Dan's saying. Treat yourself.
Let's put it this way. If you can buy it without incurring interest, sure.
And that is solid advice from Nearman Condition. Me,
Yep.
I say just go in debt, baby. Go in debt. You can't take it with you. Jesse McGee, thank you for the super chat.
But it can follow your family.
Do you know if they'll ever print Rachel Pollack's continuation of Morrison's Doom Patrol? You know, that run got solicited and it got canceled. And it really aggravates me because there's this missing chunk of Doom Patrol that's happening, and it's basically Rachel's run. And I don't know what it is about DC that they decided to cancel it. You know, other than it's DC, that they're like, yeah, whatever, sales aren't good enough or pre-sales aren't good enough. As far as I've seen the catalog, there is no more continuation of Doom of her Doom Patrol. Sadly, for now. I'm excited for The Rock as Black Adam. Yeah, we'll probably Leo. We'll probably do Astro Boy or Sheena one of these days when Amanda comes back. I think she's coming back next week. The Silver Surfer is October 7th. Marianne, the Silver Surfer reprint, and it's with the corrected pages. Is the Wolverine Omnibus coming in September supposed to have the round spine? It does. I've seen pictures of it already. So it's no longer the COVID-19 variant. It's the round spine. How about a Doug Bench, Kelly Jones, Batman Vampire Trilogy? I've got the trade paperback. I love that series, like the Red Rain series. So good. So I hope they do something with that. I hope the new DC decides to start bringing so much of these books out that we so want. Oh, I'm so jealous. You bought the 8 Blueberry hardcovers. Can't wait to start reading. I love Blueberry, and I came really close to buying a complete set when I was in Spain, but I was like, no, one day it will be in English. I don't know why I didn't buy it. I bought Torpedo when I was over there, and honestly, reading Torpedo in Spanish, it makes me wish I understood Japanese so I could read it in the native language, because I feel like with the translations, sometimes you miss a lot. Because there's a lot of pop culture references, not so much for Torpedo, but for manga, right? It's a lot of pop culture references that have to be translated here that you're not going to understand. Unless Fizz has been doing a really good job of like the little subtitles, like this is what this means. In Japan, this is the tradition. Cesar Corrales, Omar, Lock and Key House Compendium still coming. It is still in the catalog. That's probably been delayed because of the printing issues they've had. Oh, this is a good question. What's up, Green Lantern? I was watching a few year-old NMC videos. First of all, God bless you. Because life is very exciting right now. And it was NMC Gaiden. So what's the deal with that? So that started as we started doing Near Mint Condition as a group, right? And then I had the idea of like, how about we do like individual things, like just our own things, and Dan can do Transformers episodes, because I wanted to focus more on collected editions, and good thing I did. And we decided to call it Gaiden as because that's what it is in Japan, like Ninja Gaiden and all that. It's a side story, right? Gaiden, rather. So it was like our own little side stories. That's where the origin of that came about. Probably not as exciting as you thought it was going to be.
And then you know, Gaida took over, and
now we're in a pandemic. We haven't been together in months, so
yeah.
Oh my God, half a year. Omar, I asked you this question earlier. Thank you for the super chat, Robert. Earlier this week, but with the recent cancellations of the 5 titles at DC, one of them being Hellblazer. Oh my gosh, I know. Why can't this book be as successful as it was when it went 300 issues? And I'll tell you why. Let me tell you right now why, and this is probably just not the truth, but it's just my thinking. Because John Constantine belongs in a universe where he can smoke, where he can do whatever the hell he wants to, ages in real life, and has a definitive ending. He does not belong in the universe fighting with the Justice League Dark, as much as I thought that was great. He doesn't belong in a universe like he belongs in his own little pocket universe that can interact with DC characters, right? Kind of like Sandman. And I don't think that.
Wait, are you telling me that all those Sandman interactions in the early run are not are not canon?
Oh, they're totally canon. Remember what happened in that one
Justice
iconic scene? in the iconic scene where they're carrying a certain casket who shows up at a certain funeral. Like, I mean, it's all canon. It's just
Really?
it shouldn't happen. I think that's part of the problem is that now he's a mainstream superhero. He has his own TV show, and I did hear that Cy Spurrier's run was really good though, and he is pissed that he got canceled. Yeah, there are a couple of DC fandoms I'm going to watch. Obviously, I'm going to watch the Matt Reeves one with the Batman movie, and probably the Suicide Squad because I like to torture myself. But it is James Gunn. So, Omar, expected release for the Batman Reading Order Part 2. Either tomorrow or Monday. It's like I mentioned earlier, our Patreons already have access to it. I was just trying to make sure calendar because there's some books from Marvel I have to do, some manga I need to do from Viz. So either tomorrow or Monday. But it is coming. It's already done. I'm working on part 3 right now. There was another question here. I also watched a 2-year-old NMC video about your most expensive purchases. Interesting that all those figures were replaced by collected editions. Yeah, mine was that $500 Orion, which was a third-party. What's his name? Abominus.
Yeah, we'd have to update that now.
Yeah, no shit, right? Hellblazer needs Alan Moore, Garth Ennis. Well, Alan Moore, I don't think is going to happen. You'd have a better chance getting Garth Ennis on there. I'd be down with that, though. Hey, man, I'm new to comics. Well, welcome to the club, Blizz. I really enjoyed Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man. What would you recommend? If you like Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man, then keep reading his Superior Spider-Man. It's really good. You may like his Fantastic Four. And if you like Spider-Man, get that Roger Stern Spider-Man that's coming back into print next year. It's damn good.
Ooh, I like this question.
All right, hold on. Let me answer this one real quick. How's that DC thing going to go with them laying people off? I'll tell you how they're going to go. I think I said this as soon as I talked about the layoffs. That stuff has already been pre-recorded, most of that stuff. So there are people in those videos that have lost their jobs, that have no idea that the following week after that recording, they were going to lose their jobs. That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Go ahead, Dan. You had a question.
All right.
Dan can help me with this. All right. Bottom 5 like, X-Men runs.
You keep saying, "Oh, I love that run" for stuff that I'm like,
man, because really? I try to stay positive, really? Dan.
You
Shut up. Shut up, because I try to stay positive. I hate talking about my least favorite things because my least favorite things is always somebody in the chat's favorite thing. They're like, "What? You hate that run?" All right, here we go. In no particular order, but hell yes, in particular order. The worst run on X-Men that I have, Uncanny Omar has ever read is Chuck Austin's run on X-Men. Complete trash. Horrible. Everybody was out of character. The Devil is Nightcrawler's dad. Would I buy an omnibus? You're goddamn right I would. Next, Peter Milligan's X-Men. I know people like it. My buddy Peter M., shout out to him and his, he has a Crushing Crisis reading order. What I do on videos, he has done on websites for many years. Wonderful dude, but we completely disagree on this. He loves Peter Milligan's run. I hated it. Next up is Daniel Way's X-Men. Daniel Way's Wolverine origin. No, hell no. Tall glass of no, thank you. Oh my God. That run kicked off with the death of Condoleezza Rice. It was supposed to be about Wolverine's origin. That guy had no understanding of that character at all. No understanding of that character. And I would almost put that in a tie with Deadpool, but I know people really appreciate his Deadpool. And by the way, if this is one of your favorite runs, this is just my opinion. That's it. So please remember that. I'm just a dude.
But that opinion is endorsed by Marvel. So I'm just kidding.
Shut up. Chuck Austin is the only run I've read. It's the best and you know it.
I mean,
God bless.
if you've never actually read anything about those characters before, sure.
I'm trying to think. Was it Joe K? This run was horrible. Joe Casey Joe Kelly with his birds. Like that happened right after Scott Lobdell. Oh man, it was so bad, so bad. And then the last run on the last of my bottom 5. Oh man, you know what? Bendis didn't make bottom 5. Okay, Bendis did not make my bottom 5, so that's saying something about the guy. Because at least there were some fun things happening in his run, but man, this is hard because there's so many that almost make it. But I'm gonna go with Onslaught. It's not somebody in particular, but it's just things were happening, and it is the comic that broke me, and I was done. I was done with comic books after that, and I took a break. So there's my 5 least favorite runs. I own the Onslaught Omnibus, though.
I was gonna say.
I do. Joe Casey's run was almost there too with Daisy X, and she was like a prostitute that was trying to redeem herself, but her powers were really lame. See, people love Daniel Way, right? Don't. I am not crapping on what people love. You can still love it. This is just my opinion. My opinion is not any better than yours. No Spider-Geddon news, Bruce. Sorry. Now, next question. I would buy an Austin Omnibus. You're damn right I would too. That's how much I hate that run.
Does the Omnibus say Marvel on the side?
Does it say X-Men? You damn right I'd buy it.
Does it say Omnibus?
Oh, this is a good question. If it'd be cool if you do videos like that are, if you like this, then you'd probably really like this. We started doing that a little bit with our old reader, new reader. It was Amanda's idea to do suggestions of like, hey, if you enjoyed this book, then these are a few other suggestions. Like we started putting on our social media, but that's something we need to get back to. But a video would be kind of cool too. I broke Omar. You did with that question. Talking about my least favorite runs. Y'all thought I was gonna say Bendis, but I didn't.
Here's
my opinion is no better than yours.
Ooh.
Austin better than Chris Claremont. What? I'm gonna put your ass in timeout, J. Don.
What do you think about this, Omar?
Ooh, good question. How about a redo of Sandman art? I would totally mix it up and have Scotty Young do it. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, because there were a lot of comments on Twitter and in different critical circles about the new Audible Sandman thing and how they kind of chose not to update it for the most part. Though there were parts where I was following along in the comic and they chose to update a few things. But as I was following along in the comic, I was like, this art is definitely of its time. And the story is too a little bit. I mean, obviously, but I don't know. What do you think? I don't think it's an accessibility issue. I mean, you go back and you read that, and it's it's so across the board.
I'm trying to think. This is a really good question because I like to introduce people to new things, to new books and things like that. And then sometimes, the art is a deal breaker. They're like, oh, this art is horrible. I can't follow this story. And I think about things like Final Fantasy VII. They've remade it with new graphics and changed the story up a little bit. And was it nostalgia that drove a lot of people to love Sandman? I don't think so, because I remember my wife read it for the first time like 10 years ago or 14 years ago when we first started dating, and she loved it. And by then that book was already old. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel strongly about the recolors in Swamp Thing. I feel like they should have kept the original colors of Swamp Thing, but it wasn't a deal breaker because I still have the absolute Swamp Thing. And they recolored the first 17 issues of Sandman. those have been recolored with modern colors to help out the artwork, I think. I
Hmm.
don't know, man. I want to say, part of me wants to say no, but then I think, man, wouldn't it be awesome if J.H. Williams did the whole thing? It would take years. But if you have one consistent artist, oh my God, J.H. Williams doing the entire thing, woo! Then
I
yes.
don't know though. I mean, frankly, the inconsistency in the art was part of the storytelling, though.
Yeah, but you don't seem to understand the power of J.H. Williams. I've never. Dude. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not downplaying. Like, I have never seen an artist that could do that. He can mimic anyone's style, right? There's a lot of artists that copy styles, like Jim Lee style and Todd McFarlane style, Mignola style. This is the first person I've ever seen that can mimic a style and keep it that way throughout. Like, he did the book that blew me away was I mean, his Prometheus is awesome, but Seven Soldiers of Victory. He did what is known as like the alpha, the one shot that kicked off the series, and then the ending. I thought there were different artists in that book, but it was just him mimicking the art style of the artists that were taking over the miniseries.
Hmm.
Oh, so and not only that, but he's a phenomenal artist. I realized I spent way too long answering that question, but when I started thinking of J.H. Williams, holy shit, that yes, I would buy it all over again. Yes, and at this time, Jack Skellington, my wife would love that name. Don't forget to smash that like button. Nathaniel agrees with you, Dan. The variety of the art is a huge advantage for Sandman. But
I mean,
J.H. Williams
there
can
are,
mimic all that art.
yeah,
Just saying.
there are a handful of issues looking back where it's like it is hard to follow this. Like this visual storytelling doesn't work very well, and it's not like the dreaming stuff. It's the real world stuff where it's just like it's kind of hard to understand what's going on here visually.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that is what it is. It's just it's kind of
How
part and
about this,
parcel of the
Dan?
whole thing.
You can release your copy, and I'll release my copy, and then we'll see which sells better. And then DC can
that we
fire us.
both redrew ourselves.
No, we're not redrawing ourselves. I'm going with J.H. Williams. You're going with classical
Here
look.
we go.
No, we're not redrawing it. You get your classic artists, who some of them I think are gone now, and I'll get J.H. Williams to redraw the whole thing. So there you have it. Kevin is asking, do you know when Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus?
Sandman.
And this is why yours would not sell.
That's right.
Do you know when Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus by Bendis is getting a reprint? Sorry if you've answered. I've not answered this question, but this is a question I get asked a lot, and I don't know at this moment when that's going to be reprinted. Hopefully when they do, they'll reprint, or they'll make more Omnis to finish out his run. Dan tells Omar how it is. He tries. He tries.
Yeah, Dan tells Omar what he thinks, and Omar ignores it.
Not all the time. I've taken your advice plenty of times. Omar, you should stop drinking now. No, wait, I don't.
When have you ever?
I don't. I usually laugh. Omar, I've already answered that.
No. That is a thing you say to somebody else. Omar should stop drinking now, and then it's a okay. You distract him, and I'll hide the tequila.
Oh man. So many stories. On the topic of art, I'm reading Marvels now, and I absolutely love Alex Ross's art, but my one criticism is that he relies too much on photo references and models to the point that it's a crutch. I think when you're mixing elements of superheroics and fantasy, it works, though. I think it works wonderfully. Like, his Spectre's freaking just fantastic. His farm strong Superman looks amazing in that suit. Like, he really looks like a dude that could exist. Like, I don't think I would put him on a book like Criminal, or a book, that's like about detectives or real life things. I want him on superhero books, which is luckily what he loves doing, or books about fantasy, right? I think his art is perfect for that.
Here's a question that I think I can answer.
All right. What do you got?
Wait, scrolling.
Oh, I like that question
Are
too. Top
yeah.
five.
Are the classic Transformers comics in print in any form? No, I don't think so. But I can tell you that the IDW softcover reprints, or like the original run, is not too outlandish if you get them through Amazon. I know because I'm selling mine right now, and they're about what you would expect to pay. So you can find them. They're not too bad, but they're not in print anymore.
Sad days. Monster Hunter 108. Omar, I'm relatively new to collecting Omnibus. Was wondering 10, 15 years down the line, how well do they hold up? Pretty damn well, man. Like, this is where I keep most of my Omnis. Please ignore the mess. There's other sides, but my first Omnibus is still up there. I just had one accident in the years I've been collecting them since day one, and that was my new X-Men Omnibus, and I cried. It was bad. But they hold up really. My first Omnibus is still up there. Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. Still holding up, man. And I know people take care of them, like they put little like styrofoam blocks underneath the pages so the pages don't drop from the spine, which is a wonderful thing you can do if you want to. Somebody was asking about King Conan, and I was trying to find it. As far as King Conan, that would be, I think, 2 Omnis would cover that because I know it's Marvel and they would do 2 Omnis. I think 1 would cover it, but 2 is what we'll probably get. Elvis, I get to your question in a second. I like that question. All right, 5 top Studio Ghibli films. All right, here we go, Dan. First, my number 1 all-time favorite Studio Ghibli film is Whisper of the Heart. Love it. Oh my god, when I was younger, I wanted to meet a girl like what's her name, Satsuki, the girl in it. And then when I got married and I found out I was having a daughter, I was like, oh, I hope my daughter turns out to be like Satsuki. So that's how much that movie means to me. Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, even though it's pre-Studio Ghibli, doesn't matter. Castle Cagliostro, which is also pre-Studio Ghibli, I don't care. And Grave of the Fireflies, but you got to be in a good mood to watch that because that movie will rip your heart out and crush it in front of you like Mortal Kombat style. And 5, oh man, what a hard choice. But I guess I would have to go with, I'm a big fan of Porco Rosso. So Porco Rosso. There's my 5. Dan, what about you? I know you've watched a lot with your family.
I haven't watched that much, honestly.
Well, then do your top 3.
The one that stuck with me and it just hit me at the right time was Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the sweet spot in terms of timing. I really, really, really tried to get my kids into Totoro, and they just had no interest at the time.
My kids love Totoro.
So
it sucks when they can't get into. That's why you force them. Like, look, your kids want to eat. You're gonna watch this back to back. Like, we're gonna watch it 3 times. Omar, is One Piece any good? The one thing putting me off from reading it is the length of the series. Don't be put off by that, man. I'll tell you why. Because there's over 600 issues of Uncanny X-Men, right? I mean, if you think about it like that, yes, I realize there's different teams. Yes, I realize that they've restarted the damn numbering systems a few times, but it's still an ongoing story from issue 1. One Piece is no different, except it's one guy telling the story, and he knows the ending. So, yes, it is that good.
Supposedly.
I was talking to Maddie about this, that I both love and hate One Piece. Love it because it's brilliant, and hate it because Oda has literally ruined the definition of world building for everybody else. Because I think it's perfect the way that he built that world. He put limitations on himself that I wish he hadn't done. But still, I've not seen a better comic give us better world building than that one. I would check out. They have box sets, but check out the first volume. It stays that goofy and fun, but there's some moments that pull at your heartstrings. Oh, we're going back to this question. JT, really a photorealistic noir Brubaker drawn by Alex Ross? I'll be all over that. Man, see, I don't. I want it to be
Yeah.
surreal. I love it. I love Sean Phillips. I think he's perfect for that. It's got that noirish, dark look to it. I've
Here's a
been
question.
listening to Curtis. Let me
Go
finish this one because this is a
Yeah.
shout out to my buddy Curtis and his Epic podcast. So I've been listening to Curtis on the Epic Marvel podcast, a fantastic podcast. You all should listen. And he's going through the Marvel Transformers book. Either of you have opinions on those books? Dan, you have strong opinions about it.
I like going back to read those books, but they're not my Transformers. My Transformer. I grew up with the cartoon, not the comic. So it's almost like artifacts. I think there are some really great standout stories, and I think there are some ridiculously dumb stories. You know, the whole no, I allowed imaginary people to be destroyed, so you need to blow me up. Optimus Prime death. No, that was, that doesn't make any sense. There's no characterization. There's no valid characterization of Optimus Prime where that makes any sense, other than we needed to get rid of him so we could sell a new toy. So,
it had its moments. I think when Simon Furman took over the American comic, it became something completely different.
It's the after they're no longer trying to sell toys, it got good.
Yeah.
But the middle run from like 10 to 70 of that suffers from the same thing as Transformers Rebirth, and it's just, it's like, well, how many new toys do we have to introduce this comic, and what's going to be our way to get them in this time? And it was just,
I'll tell you what, as a kid, I remember I'm with Dan. I also only watched the cartoon, so I have really no nostalgia until Simon Furman took over the run. But I remember going to the comic book store and flipping through it, seeing like what adventures Optimus Prime was into. And it was like, holy crap, they killed Optimus Prime again. In the comic series again. But that last run, man, was awesome. And then Generation 2, which has not been collected besides I think Titan Collection had a collection of it. And then is it Panini who's doing those wonderful collections that are through subscription overseas?
I thought that was Titan Books too.
It might have been Titan Books, and those have been collected that way too with the Dreamwave. Love from Edmonton. Hey Omar, does X-Men Grand Design read like a modern book? More like a modern book. Yep. It's less. Believe me, it is not as wordy as a Silver Age book. It's Dan. It is less wordy than a Silver. Dan, Don't come at me with that bullshit. It is less wordy than a Silver Age book, Dan.
It is. It is less wordy than a Silver Age book, if only because it doesn't assume that you forgot what happened on the last page.
Touche.
I mean, because the Silver Age book was, in our Moonstar did this in the last issue. Like, oh, thanks.
This is from Adam. Green Arrow, other than Mike Grells, for me, Judd Winnick, and Brad Meltzer had a good run. Kevin Smith's Quiver, that storyline is awesome, and Chuck Dixon, even though it really wasn't Oliver Queen, and of course, Dennis O'Neil, Neil Adams. But I think to me, my favorite one was Judd Winnick after Mike Grell's run.
All right, here's a question I want to answer.
Go for it,
because I want to offer a 2-cent opinion on it.
All right,
which is my thought on this. So to sum up real quick, Epic decided it no longer wanted to pay Apple the 30% in-app purchase for purchases made through Fortnite on the App Store. So it just basically said, Apple, we're going to do this in an update. And Apple said, well, okay, so we're taking you off the store. And then Epic files an injunction trying to prevent Apple from from invalidating their developer certificate. But that's where it gets lawyery, because like the idea for an injunction is that you have to show that there is an emergency and irreparable harm. And I love Apple's response, which is, this isn't an emergency. They chose to do something stupid that they can choose not to do anytime. This is entirely an emergency of their own making. And I think Apple should win it. And I think Epic should suck it up and play by the same rules that they play by on every other platform. That's my 2 cents. I do not play Fortnite, so I should say that too. So I don't have a dog in this fight, other than I think Epic is just trying to throw its weight around with Fortnite, and I think that they should not be rewarded for it.
Fair enough. Omar, where should you read Jeff Johns' Stargirl when reading his JSA before the series? It was his first published work at DC, so you can read it before the series. I mean, if you already started reading JSA, yeah, keep reading. I don't think it takes anything away, but you get to meet the character, you know. Omar and Dan, since you mentioned Jim Lee style, Ian Churchill, underrated 90s era artist, agree or disagree? I got my answer for that one.
Remind me.
Ian Churchill.
Yeah.
He was.
Was he the guy who followed Liefeld on X-Force?
No, that's Greg Capullo. But eventually, he did issues of Cable. He did issues of Hulk.
I just don't remember well enough.
I don't know what it was about him, but I like his style when it's cleaner, like when he did his what is that Aquaman like book that he did at Image? I'm sure somebody in the chat will remind me. I like his cleaner style. I don't like his cross-hatching style because I think it's too much. Like I don't. This is gonna come off as insulting, but I don't think he understood shadowing, like basic shadowing. Shadows are not everywhere, right? Jim Lee understood basic shadowing. Like, this is why I'm cross-hatching this area. Ian Churchill was just all over the place. So he wasn't for me, but I like his cleaner style. Omar, how much would you pay for Marvel to make a Spider-Man meets Scrooge Mcduck comic? Not as much as I would pay a Wolverine versus Scrooge Mcduck comic. Not meets, versus. They are not going to be friends at all. They're going to be fighting. Marine Man, thank you all. Marine Man, that was it. Thank you all. And I love Churchill. See, I get it. I completely do. I just wasn't a fan of his art, unless, like I said, it's cleaner. Here's a question for both of us, but let's do the super chat first. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat. JLI nostalgia. Omar, everyone talks about the one punch moment. You remember when Batman asked Hawkman to join, and he says he doesn't know if he fits in. Yep. That moment is still, and that was one of the best moments in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern Rebirth, was a throwback to the punch. Oh, it's so awesome. Green Lantern, Jeff Johns. Oh man, so many payoffs. Jim Lee crosshatch out of boredom, not out of necessity. Yeah, I said it. All right, I don't know about maybe these days. I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta see it.
Y'all are killing me. What's up, Trigonosis? I know you love you some Churchill, man. Oh, there was a good question here. Oh, where is it? I wanted to go back to it because I think it's an excellent question that both of us could have answered. And of course, it's lost somewhere in the chat. There's too much excitement about Alien. I'll find it here in a second. In the Marvel Masterworks forum. And they say that the material is mediocre. Oh, there's not much. There's not too much excitement from the Marvel Masterworks forum. And they say the material is mediocre. Is it overhyped, Omar, just because Marvel has the rights now? I didn't read. I've not. Aliens is one of my favorite movies. And Alien 3 was an atrocity to what they did to those characters in Aliens. And I know people really like Alien. Some people really like Alien 3. But the comics was the escape of what that Aliens next movie should have been. So to me, I think those comics are great. Now, granted, I have not read everything especially in that omnibus. I've only read like the first 3 series, and I remember them being pretty good. I remember Kelly Jones' artwork, and I remember Sam Keith's artwork in those. So I don't. shout out to the Marvel Masterworks forums. Those guys taught me a lot, when I joined 10 years, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever it was. And, most of them are a certain age that I can't imagine them being too excited for Aliens, honestly. Most of them are probably at the age that they're more excited for Golden Age stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's great. Everybody wants something different. There are plenty of people that are already excited about Aliens. Dan is really the man without fear when it comes to his Transformers takedown. What? That's awesome.
I mean, is what it is. Like I said, there's some good stories in there, but as a whole,
they better change those names back to Newton Hicks, man. Alien 3 is good, though, especially the director's cut. I saw the director's cut with Fincher. Can't hate on him. And I'm not hating on him. And honestly, I'm not hating on Alien Resurrection either. As far as what they were given, sure, they're fine standalone movies, even though we can get to ridiculous arguments over Aliens Resurrection. But it just wasn't what you would expect, that Ripley going through all this shit to get Newt back. Like the last 30 minutes of Aliens. And then we get Alien 3. That's like X-Men The Last Stand. Oh.
Ouch.
I'm not it's a better movie, don't get me wrong, it's a better movie. Iron Will, Iron Strength, no way, it's not overhyped. The material is classic and definitely getting it. So there's definitely a lot of people here that like it. Omar, will Conan the Marvel Years get finished in Epic or Omnibus form first? Probably Omnibus form, since they're releasing 2 a year, and Epics are also 2 a year.
Is that 2 a year thing that you've referred to? I mean, is that kind of across the board with the Epic collection?
For the most part,
as
yes.
a person who is
now getting into Epics.
Yeah.
For the most part, because there are some times that, I mean, we haven't had like an Ant-Man.
2 X-Men's, two.
Yeah, you can guarantee X-Men will be 2 a year, Spider-Man will be 2 a year, and X Factor, I think, was 1 last year, if I'm not mistaken. No, 2 last year, 1 the year before that, and I think we're getting 2 in 2021. Hey, Omar, just wanted to say what's up? What's up, Adam? How's it going, man? I like Alien 3, rather. The fourth Alien, however, ... I think most people probably feel that way. Me, I follow movies and stories because of the characters, and if you don't treat the character justly, then I have a huge problem with either the movie or the comic book. So there's a lot of problems that I've had in comic books throughout my time. The devil is Nightcrawler's dad. What the hell? D-Rock, morning, guys. Watching from work, still excited about the Omni announcement you made this week. Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you for watching us. Omar, any date on that top 20 manga video? Really can't wait for that. I made a comment on one of my videos when somebody was asking me. I said, if that video is not out in September, I'm leaving the show. I'm hanging up my hat. I promise. I made a promise that I was going to do a top 20 manga video months ago, but things just kept happening. People kept asking me to do different videos, and if you know anything about the way that I do these lists, I swear to God, I'm so freaking nerdy. Like, I take this to heart. I'm like, all right, I gotta make this good. I gotta make sure I put everything in here, because I do my list out of my personal taste. Like, there's a lot of lists that I've seen out there that play it safe. Like, when I first started doing my top 20 or top 10 list, probably a couple of years ago, I would go on YouTube when I had time to do these things and see what kind of list was already out there. And it was basically like a copy and paste list, like the top 10 DC stories you shouldn't miss, or the top X-Men stories of all time. And granted, I agree with that, but I think there are a lot of hidden gems that that need more spotlight. And that's when you find, because there are not all channels, but there are some true fans out there that actually read these things and don't play it safe. Like, who puts Darkhawk as one of their most wanted omnibus? This guy. Um, let's see. What else do we have? In that case, Dan, you better really start buying some epics. He's going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've picked up, let's see, one X-Men, a New Mutants, the X Factor first book. It's a slippery slope. I'm trying to stay in just mutant titles for now because the Iron Man ones are also like, ooh. And there's so many Iron Man and Daredevil ones though, where it's like, I don't know that I can afford to ever catch up with that.
I remember saying that about X-Men. I'm only going to get the X-Men Omnibus. Green Lantern preaching the truth here. Read Colin Yost X-Force, people. 100%. A run that I know got a lot of love when it was coming out, but I think it was overshadowed by Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force. And don't get me wrong, I think Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force is phenomenal. But Colin Yost X-Force was my jam. Man, I remember we had a podcast when they came out with their first issue of New X-Men, and I was about to drop New X-Men because that was the title that was New Mutants and then changed it to New X-Men. And I was like, I am not digging in. I cannot remember the Phillips and the Nuzio, I think, were the ones that were writing it. I just didn't care for those kids. And apparently nobody else did because the very first arc that Yost and Kyle came in, they killed off half of those kids. And I'm like, sold. I'm in. Let's see where we go from here. Oh, I love that run, man. Does that styrofoam thing with Omnis work? I wouldn't know, Ted, but people swear by it. People swear by it. So if you want to try it, man, go for it. Omar, if Spider-Man will be 2 Omnis a year, what runs do you think will be in 2021? Well, that's not a sure thing for Omnibus. Like, Omnibus is a different thing. But if 2021 gets us a Spider-Man Omnibus, we know we're going to get the amazing... We got a reprint of Tales... the Untold Tales of Spider-Man. We got a reprint of Roger Stern's Spider-Man. We got a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2. What new Omnis would I like to see collected in 2021? I'd either like to see a Brand New Day or One More Day collected. I'm a completist, so One More Day, of course, which is the follow-up to Straczynski's run. But I think more people would probably buy a Dan Slott Omnibus. So looking like 15 Omnis or so, approximately 4. We talking about Conan? Conan's probably 14 to 15 Omnis each, and then 2 for King, if they decide to go the whole way.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of. Look how gorgeous that your bookshelf's gonna look, Dan.
I already need more bookshelves.
All right, Gary Sandberg. Here we go, baby. Let's do it, Dan. Hey, guys, can you rank your top 5 artists that can draw females the best? Woo-wee. Who didn't have those Marvel swimsuits growing up? This is probably speaking a lot of nostalgia, but let's...
What, jeez.
Come on, Dan. You can do it. Don't be shy. All right, number 1. Adam Hughes. I'd pull my poster down right now, man, with all the DC women. Boy, they're thick too. They're not skinny broads like at all. They're thick.
I'll throw one into this list, and that's Frank Cho.
Yeah, he's got the female faces down pretty good. You know what? Nicola Scott. I think Nicola Scott does an amazing job of drawing females. So it's not just cake, right? It's actual proportionately why, like, Nicola Scott. Man, this is the last 2 tough.
I mean, obviously, Greg Land has to be on.
All right, God,
I'm just kidding.
Well, mine is no better. Minara, like, Minara's women are completely drop dead gorgeous. Like, so I have to go with that. And yes, my childhood, Jim Lee. I had Psylocke swimsuit hanging up on my wall, man. Yes, Jim Lee. So there's my 5. So it's 4 perverts and one actual woman that can draw women well. And let's see. Let's lift Omar spirits. Top 5 hidden X-Men hidden gems. Top 5 X-Men moments. Scott in a Speedo does not count. I was thinking about doing a video of my X-Men hidden gems and where you can find them. Actually, I started writing those down, so so I'll have an answer for you. I'll actually have an answer for you. To which upcoming titles? Thank you for the super chat, Tushar. To which upcoming titles do you think Marvel can give us an oversized hardcover treatment? Well, we know we're going to get a Chip Zdarsky Daredevil. We know we're getting Fantastic Four by Dan Slott. We're getting Avengers by Jason Aaron. And what was the other one that I named? There were 5 that I was. Venom's coming out. Immortal Hulk's coming out. Wasn't there another title that was a volume 1? But what titles would I like to see collected in oversized hardcover format? Spider-Man by Nick Spencer, I think, deserves to keep continuing that Spider-Man in oversized hardcover format. Like, I'm surprised we don't have that yet. There's enough to make an omnibus now. But I said the same thing about Aaron's Avengers. I'm like, there's enough to make an omnibus. But we also don't know how long Jason Aaron's going to last on Avengers. So I'm trying to think what else I would put in there. I would love to see Dawn of X collected in hardcover format, but at this point, I think, honestly, doing an omnibus would be a better decision. Arthur Adams did a good Rogue. He did a good everybody. Jean Grey. I just got Flash of Two Worlds Deluxe Edition. Still haven't read it. Would you say it is a key comic? I like it. Yo, definitely a key comic. Absolutely. Alan Davis does good women. Alan Davis does my favorite Kitty Pryde. Like his cat, Shadow Cat stands out. It's a lot different than everybody else. No love for Joseph Michael Linster and Dawn. I liked it back in the day when that was coming out. Let's see. Does Marvel have an omnibus schedule, or is it a print and release whatever and whenever they want? I think it's the latter. I think it's whenever they see fit or something has to get moved. Like, say they green light a movie with Darkhawk, right? Let's just use that as an example. Well, then they have to move the schedule around to make sure they have a Darkhawk omnibus by the time that movie is close to being made. If for some reason that's usually when they've done these things, an omnibus for movie, for TV shows. It's not always the case though, right? Like Iron Fist or Black Panther for that matter. What an excellent question from Blink. Shockwave. Nice. Should I get the Venom by Donny Cates oversized hardcover or wait for it to be collected in a future Venom omnibus? How patient are you? There's your answer. Right? And I'm being 100% serious. It all depends on your patience. If you want to read it now, well, I guess you could get it. You could read them through the Marvel app, read them digitally, and then get them in an omnibus format. Because that omnibus, the Venom omnibus with Donny Cates' name on it, it'll probably be some years before that gets made. We're just now getting into the Daniel Way stuff. We don't even have the Rick Remender stuff that came out years ago. That should be Agent Venom Omnibus Volume 4. When is the Darkhawk movie coming out? As soon as we can cast. Who could I? I'm not gonna play that game. Never mind.
Tom Hanks.
When's part 2 of the Batman reading order? It'll be out sometime in the next couple of days. Hi, love your channel. Well, much love back to you, Zeno.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, what's your favorite case Matt Murdock has tried? Ooh, what an excellent question.
Oh God. I don't know about favorite case because that requires a little bit more Daredevil deepness than I probably have. But that whole Mark Wade run about going to the Supreme Court, I enjoyed that, but only because it depicted them getting to the Supreme Court in like a number of days, which is so ridiculous that it just makes me laugh. Let's see. There was one that I saw in here.
Rick here saying you can keep looking for it. Omar, for fans of Aliens who are gamers, absolutely need to play Alien Isolation. Masterpiece of a game, although not for everyone. I played a couple of them. Most of them are like Halo or Call of Duty ripoffs. But I haven't played that one yet. Oh, Paul Baker, what an excellent question. Omar, I know you've been reading a lot of Batman recently. What is your favorite big Batman crossover event? Legacy, I think, is my favorite. I love the return of a certain character in that book. And I remember it when it was coming out monthly, it blew me away. I'm like, yes, finally! But I honestly, and I enjoyed No Man's Land a lot too. I don't think it overstayed its welcome. I mean, it lasted a long time. Did you find it, Dan?
No, I didn't. I did not. Oh well.
Where's the love for Ed Benes? It's always been there, man. I like Ed Benes. But you also know what to expect with his artwork, right? I still think Nicola Scott had him over, though, with her Birds of Prey run.
There are a lot of questions in the chat now about comic book lawyering with regard to Daredevil, and I'll say
some.
for anybody who is in a profession, and when you see that profession depicted on TV or in comics or in anything, all you can see is what they're doing wrong or what they're skimming over for the sake of story that that would be a deal breaker in real life. And so, it's like the reasons I love Daredevil are not the lawyering scenes.
He likes the fact that he's blind. Omar, since September 2nd is a big day for Omnis, I think that you should do an early release video on what's coming out that day. I thought this question yesterday while I was at work. Thank you. Here's all the Omnis that are coming out. Say goodbye to your credit score and your wallet. Man, I don't know if I want to do that. We're talking 5 Omnis that day. That's a lot. Matches Malone. I make mention of that in my video of part 2 when I'm talking about just the goofiness of the idea of Bruce Wayne putting sunglasses, putting a match in his mouth, and growing the sleazy mustache, and he's like, "Oh, I am a villain." What? Dude, you're still a good-looking dude. You still are Bruce Wayne. I also need the Alpha Flight Omnibus to be reprinted. Somebody was asking about Alpha Flight post John Byrne's run, and that would be the Bill Mantlo run. That's also one of my most wanted Omnis. That and his Hulk run would be great, honestly. Omar, are you waiting for Ben Reilly Omnibus Volume 2? It'll be amazing to see Revelation's story in Omnibus format. I think Revelations, is it sad that Revelations is the highlight of that Omnibus and it's only a 4-part issue? Early artwork by Luke Ross, by the way. Not the guy that you see in Brubaker's Captain America run or his Image titles. It looks like Joe Madureira. Oh, hey, Adam. Thank you so much, by the way, for that nice gesture you did the other day. So big thank you. Yes, Ben Reilly Volume 2. What are those 5 Omnis you mentioned? Absolute Carnage. It's already sold out. How come it ain't out yet? Okay, so that it's just sold out in the direct market, right? Meaning that Diamond is out of print or out of stock of them. We're gonna get another batch, so keep that in mind. Even though it's out right now, it doesn't mean that there's no more coming. There are gonna be more coming. So when Diamond is out, it means that they had to fill orders for cheapgraphicnovels.com, talesofwonder.com, instocktrades.com, your local comic book stores, and other shops out there, right? Once those places are sold out, that's it for a while. Like that's it for a while until the new batch comes back. That's what and when I said that about Annihilation's coming back on 9/2, or when did I say, Dan? Remember?
No,
You had
I don't.
you had one job. Damn it, Dan. 927.
Was
Some whenever it
was
comes
that
back
the
in
one
September.
job? Damn. I
Whenever it
wrote down
comes
the wrong
back.
job.
Whenever it comes back in September, Annihilation, this is the last batch of Annihilation Omnis that are coming back. So if you want it, try to get it within that first couple of weeks. I hate saying things like that because I'm never one to try to push people to buy something because they have a fear of missing out. But I also want people to get a book that they don't want to buy
But
later
in some sense,
twice.
it's a legit fear of missing out, because if you don't
Yeah, because if this is the
plunk
last
down the
batch,
cash when it is,
it sucks because then
hmm,
then I'm gonna 3 months from now I'm gonna be getting when is Annihilation coming back into print? And I'll be honest, I'm like it just went out of print, so not for a while probably.
yeah.
And I hate getting questions like that. Like I think one of the questions I've gotten a lot of recently was, uh, when it was a book that just came out last year and then went out of print quick. Like when is it coming back into print? And I'm like, well, there's been books that have been out of print for 10 years, so I'm thinking they're gonna focus on those first. So,
Maybe.
well, okay, depending on what they are. Talk to David about Thor and Spider-Man Omnibus by Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz. Well, I'm a big fan of his Fantastic Four run and Thor run. I'm a huge fan of DeFalco's Thor and FF run. But I think next year they're doing Captain America, so I'm hoping we finally get a Mark Gruenwald Captain America omnibus. That would be awesome. Why no Conquest reprint? Because they can't reprint every book we want, man. There's the answer. There's the answer. I think everybody needs. I'm sure a lot of people know they can't. If they reprinted every book, oh my god, like that would be insane. And I realize you want it, and I realize it's in the top 10 of most wanted reprints, but it's just impossible for a company to do that. Like you can only, I mean, keep in mind, Marvel only used to reprint 2 to 3 books a year, and that is it. That's it. Last year they had a better last year they are starting to understand like what the market wants, what the audience wants, right? Like so now they're starting. I mean, look how many reprints we got. Well, we got 15, like just ridiculous amount of reprints we got this year compared to what it was 2 or 3 years ago, where we used to get 2 reprints. If we were lucky, we would get 3 reprints. So give us some time. That's what I always tell people. Give us some time. Unless you got the money and you want to, spend $300 on the Annihilation Omnibus, so there you go. Go for it, man. It's your money. I'm just trying to save people money, and it depends on how much patience you have. Same answer. Will the Slot Silver Surfer Omnibus ever come back into stock? Yeah, I'm sure it will. It'll just take some time. That book went out of print in 2019, early 2019, so it might take some time. Omar, will you have a vote for out of print epics like you did with Omnibus? I could do that. Yeah, I could do that because I give David the list of out of print epics. So and I strongly suggest some, but it's up to them to do the reprints. Dan?
I was just gonna say no. I was just. It surprises me more that they don't keep the epics churning than the omnis, for all the reasons we discussed earlier. But it just seems like you could keep those at a slow trickle a lot easier than you could the big giant heavy hardcovers. But I don't know. That's just.
I think it's a matter of how much
I
it
mean, because
costs, like how much they cost to make. Like I don't know exact numbers, but the way things were hinted at were it costs just as much to make an epic than it does a Marvel Masterwork. And a Marvel Masterwork has less pages, and it's also $75 to $100, right? Whereas an epic has more pages, almost twice as much as a Masterwork, and is $40 retail price.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose that would explain the difference in availability between the epics and the essentials. Because I mean, my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure you'll tell me. But like, basically, epic is replacing the whole essentials concept, or has replaced.
Oh yeah,
Which,
those
thank
essentials were
goodness.
horrible anyway. Like
Yeah,
I know some
I
people like
mean,
them, but they
well,
black and
yeah,
white reprints that were in those crappy paper quality. Like I mean, there's a reason
yeah,
you were paying
exactly. It always
$17
turned
for
me
those
off.
books.
And but you could always find those anywhere you went, whether it was a Barnes and Noble or a comic store. They always had plenty of those,
Yes,
and like, you don't see the epic collections. I mean, there are a handful of comic stores that keep them, a large stock of them. But like, if you're just going to bookstores and stuff, you just don't see the epic collections. I know because I've been looking. Uh, so it's just interesting to me the different ways that those two things that are serving the same purpose uh, are being handled very differently. But I'm sure it all comes down to cost.
that and also the realization that holy crap, epics have been selling more and more
Yeah,
lately, right? So they are seeing how much exactly they are selling for the first time, so they're printing more. So that's the good news, and they're reprinting.
yeah.
They're reprinting like a lot of them because those never got reprints. And I remember David when I first started talking to him. I'm like, "How come you guys don't reprint as many epics?" And he was like, "It really is hard. It's a hard sell to tell somebody a justification of like we got to reprint this book that costs as much to make like a masterworks, but the overhead
Yeah.
isn't as much. You don't make as much money. At the end of the day, it's a business, right? And we know that. So, and I think that a lot of people maybe realize that last, like, oh, that's right. It is a business. They want to make money for the same reason that they release trade paperbacks, oversized hardcovers, and omnibus, right? Like, why don't they just go ahead and release an omnibus? Because
I
they
don't,
can't make
I
that
mean,
announcement because they have to sell the complete collections first.
I
I mean,
don't
if you
think
sit
DC
back and
wants to make money.
oh well, let's not talk about that. Yeah, let's get everybody hyped up for that DC fandom coming up here in about 8 more minutes. You're gonna get think the first panel is Wonder Woman 84, which I kind of want to watch. So we'll be wrapping up here in the next couple of minutes, and go ahead and reminding everybody to please smash that like button if you have not subscribed to the channel. Not sure why you're watching this right now, and we can be found on Redbubble, Patreon. Great ways to support the channel if you can do so. This is our PO box. It's also in the description. That's for fan mail, or we'll have a contest, postcard contest, or if you want to donate to our giveaways. It's a great way to do it too. So, but let's take a couple more questions and then wrap it up. Give me a quick breakdown of Annihilation. Never read it. Know nothing about it. Trying to figure out if I want a copy. Is that I've done videos. There are all you got to do, Luis, is go back to the channel. There are 3 videos. One of them is like 10 minutes long, but a quick breakdown is look, there's this huge wave of evil coming towards Earth. But Earth isn't even they ain't even worried about it because they're all fighting in civil war, so they don't even know. So it's up to the Nova Corps to stop him. And guess what? The Nova Corps gets destroyed in the first issue. They're gone, dead, wiped out. There's only one remaining Nova Corps member, and that's my boy Rich Rider, who happens to
and,
be
that,
from
and that's
Earth,
my boy Nova.
who was only known as Kid Nova, and he happens to be from Earth. And now it's up to him and an alliance of different characters from the cosmic universe we haven't seen since Jim Starlin's day. But all of this is headed by Keith Giffen. Simon Furman of Transformers lore actually wrote the Ronan miniseries. And then we also had, of course, the biggest influence for the whole modern cosmic saga, and that is Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning coming in and writing some of those issues. It is a lot of fun. Not as good as Annihilation Conquest in my eyes, but you need it as a good stepping stone to get you through the cosmic saga, the modern cosmic saga. So there you have it. That's kind of a quick little thing. I've not read Maestro yet, and I want to because that's Peter David, and I know Clayton Crane did a cover for it, so I'm excited for it. Omar, is there any collection that collects Team X stories? Look, man, I love it. I love that you know what Team X is. Not yet. Not yet. But I love Kevin Lau's art. And I'm hoping that they eventually collect it in one of the. It would fit into that. Honestly, if they make a Bishop omnibus, that'd be cool too. That would throw it in there. Dan, favorite weird Transformer? I bet it's a Headmaster.
Skylinks. Skylinks, because they took
You were ready for
well,
an answer.
I saw the question. They took what should have been another dinosaur Transformer and made it a British guy with an inferior or a superiority complex, and I just love it. I just love Skylinks.
He was so snooty.
Yeah.
Omar, is there enough material around Extinction Agenda to do an X-Men Extinction Agenda omnibus, or do another note? You think we'll get a reprint of the Onslaught omnibus if we get a Road to Onslaught Omni? Yes to Road to Onslaught, and yes to Onslaught reprint. I'm sure that will happen. As far as Extinction Agenda, I think the wisest thing they can do is probably put Extinction Agenda with the Days of Future Present storyline. And I guess include the Wolverine Days of Future Past story in there too. Throw in a couple of other minis and appearances. That might be the best answer for that, because Extinction Agenda is not that long of a series. I mean, I don't even know what else you could throw it in there without just reprinting an oversized hardcover, which they never do. Is Shang-Chi Daily Hands low in stock? How can I find out? All of them are, well, not the direct market covers, but all of them are still in print. I just checked the other day, by the way. So if you're in case you want to miss out, don't worry about it. Rebel by Design. Where's Rebel by Design? War Rocket Ajax talked about those. I'm in, man. Okay. They're talking about other things. And here we go. Omar, do you know what's updated in this new edition of the Adam Hughes cover run? Just discovered the reprint on Amazon. I haven't gotten it yet. I had the original for a while, but I tell you what, I'm probably going to get it. So if I do get it, I'll definitely do an overview of it. 3 minutes to wrap it up, boys. Okay. Dan, any last words?
And just thanks for watching, and thanks for putting up with me being here and knowing 10% of what's going on with the collected edition market. Omar, tell me more about this epic collection stuff that I'm into.
Of course I can. What do you need to know?
Everything.
I'm thinking of custom binding the entire Sandman universe, but I'm hesitant on using trade paperbacks and glued binding. I know sewn is better, but how bad is glue? Not bad at all. I've got those. My Teen Titans post Jeff Johns are all binded from single issues and from trade paperbacks. So there you have it. Yes, Buggy, what's up? Hit that like button. That's it. I like it when Dan is on. Always gets that legal tidbit that I didn't know I needed. Right? You get free legal counsel. What other show on Saturday mornings do you get? Is Judge Judy on right now? Keep it classy and cool. That's right. Omar, we were talking about collecting X-Men Pizza Hut comics. They can throw that into the Extinction Agenda omnibus. I don't know if the new JMS Volume 2 will have a curved spine or not. But I can tell you where you can get those, and that is at our sponsor, Cheap Graphic Novels, where you can get your books up to 50% off. And I think right now they're one of the few people that still have the Superman Batman omnibus, because I think most places are sold out. So if you're wanting those, there you go. Any words on a Roger Stern omnibus? No, I have not heard, but I want a big Uncle Raj. It would take 2 Omnis for that.
All right, we got to shut this down.
All right, Conan and Carnage, I still don't have dates for, but they are delayed. Everybody, thank you again. Go watch your DC fandom if that's your cup of tea. Go rewatch this on replay if that's more of your cup of tea. Thank you again for joining us. And everybody, please stay healthy. Stay safe out there. I'll be back next week with the amazing Amanda. And then the week after that with somebody else I'm dragging into this. Everybody enjoy your weekend.